looking for a Class A, B, C, or bus conversion, but I do realize I would solve this question. Alternate question would be, currently having neither truck nor the RV, how does someone purchase both without exhausting their credit? I haven't emailed you back. I'm going to email you back. First off, this is a very common question I get. I get a lot of versions of this question through Instagram and different contacts that I've gotten over the last probably 10 years. First off, there's no way to roll into one loan, okay? The best thing for you to do, the best thing for anyone to do, is to pick out the RV and set up that loan first. That's the best thing you can do. So if you're looking for a fifth wheel, go get the fifth wheel loan first. Go to the dealership, go to your credit union, whatever you're gonna do in that respect. If you're gonna buy private party, you're gonna buy from a dealer, just set up that loan first, especially since you're planning on going full time. If you don't have a physical address that the bank or the lender can verify, more than likely you're not gonna get a loan. So get that set up first. I've had people do it the opposite way, where they went out and spent $80,000, $90,000 on a truck, and then they sit there and get upset, even with outstanding credit, and get upset with me because they can't get an RV loan. So set the RV loan up first, then go get the truck loan. You're not gonna be able to not exhaust your credit. You're gonna exhaust your credit for at least the first 6 months after you make both major purchases. That's just a fact of life. It's just like when you go buy a home. When you go buy a home and then you buy a car, you exhaust your credit. That's the reason why there's a scoring system, to prevent you, or at least try to prevent you from overspending on, we'll just say, overextending yourself on loans. Personally, man, you could go out and get a loan on a 401k if you have a 401k and take a loan out on that and buy both in cash. That's another way of doing it. But for the most part, you need to get the RV loan set up first, and then go get the truck. The truck's a lot easier to get. It's just an easier loan to get. Okay, next question. Nope. Where's it at? There it is. I full-time RV right now inside of a Class A motorhome, but I want to buy a small travel trailer to tow behind my SUV. I have outstanding credit, but everywhere I go, I'm told I cannot get a loan. I have a P.O. box that all my mail goes to, and I use my daughter's address as a base. I'll call it a base camp because I don't want to put the words she's using. Please explain to me how I can get a loan so I do not have to exhaust my bank account to accomplish the goal I want to. Here's the best thing you can do. So let's just say you're using the family member's home as kind of a base of operations, right? So you're full-timing right now, you have a base of operations, which is, or a house or a place you go get mail, and not a P.O. box. Let's say just a physical house or apartment building or something of that nature that belongs to a family member. A piece of mail is not gonna help you out unless you're on the utility bill or unless you're on a lease agreement with your family member. The best thing you could humanly do as a full-timer is when you full-time and you now have a physical address, let's say You're a retired couple, you're going to use your daughter's address in New Mexico as an example, as a place where you're going to get your mail. That's going to be your new physical address. The best thing you could do is go apply for 2 credit cards right as soon as you become full-time. Apply for 2 credit cards at the new address. What that does is show up on your credit bureau as a physical address. And a lot of times when the address shows up on your bureau and it doesn't show that you've sold the house or that the house is for sale, a lot of times, it'll recognize in the bank's system that you have a physical address. So the best thing you could humanly do now, if you want to buy a travel trailer, in the near future on credit, if you're not like in a rush to do it today, go get yourself, apply for a credit card, any credit card. You don't have to use it, just apply for it in your family member's address, so that way it shows up on your credit bureau. And that's easier to do as a full-time RVer than go out and get an RV loan on a small travel trailer without a physical address. Especially because, first things first, it doesn't matter if it's your credit union, it doesn't matter if it's your bank, it doesn't matter if it's what we call a mouse house lender. They want to tie you to an address. Okay, so just that's the easiest way to do that. Okay. All right. Next one. This was interesting. I read part of this the other day, but I got so busy I didn't even go with it. I live in South America and want to start a camper rental business. I have found that driving them from United States to my hometown, and remember, I'm paraphrasing because I don't give away people's personal information, okay? I found that's really expensive and I lose 1 in 4 campers. I have found a shipping company that will transport them by boat, but there's certain measurements that I cannot find in campers, travel trailers, to fit them in the containers that this company requires for me to ship them. Do you have any suggestions? Yes. I have 2 really interesting suggestions. So I've done a lot of different things with countries like Australia. Now you can ship them on the deck of the boat. But I guess what I'm finding out is a lot of these companies, these shipping companies, want RVs or some kind of travel trailers and containers. They don't want them out on the deck of the boat. Don't know why, haven't figured that out. But one of the best things you could do is take off everything on the top. The radio antenna, the Wi-Fi, the air conditioner, just take it right off. You're gonna have to put it back in, obviously, but have whoever you buy it from take off the air conditioner, put it inside the trailer or inside the camper, and have it shipped that way. Best thing you could do. Morning. So that's the best I could tell you. I mean, there's no other way to do it that I know of. There's not a RV company that'll customize the size of a travel trailer. I know if you put a big enough order with a manufacturer through a dealer, a lot of times they'll make like a custom floor plan or maybe an older floor plan that they already have built in the past, as long as it fits within the parameters of what they already build. I'm sorry, I thought his question was where can you find exact dimensions? No, it's finding trailers that will fit in the container. He's having a tough time finding ones that will fit inside the containers. I am paraphrasing these questions because I don't want to give out people's personal information. I mean, a lot of times when people email me questions, they put a lot of personal information, and I don't like to blast people's names or business. So sometimes I get a little lost in translation. I want people to feel comfortable that if I'm going to answer their question live, I'm not going to give up or divulge any of their information. So I appreciate that, Tom. Appreciate the question. Okay. Next one. God dang, there's a lot of them here today. Okay, go to this file. Here was just a comment. I didn't realize it was a comment. I put it in my little file box. Thank you for your refreshing takes on how the RV business works. So many people are consumed by what others are doing, and keeping up with the Joneses will always end up putting you in the poorhouse. I really appreciate all of your transparency. I appreciate everything that you have put on your channel, everything from your loan videos, everything from your opinions about certain products and why you should or should not buy them. And we really appreciate the fact that you don't come out and trash everybody or say everything is so great. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I try to do my best I don't like to bash companies. The only company I really don't care for is Grand Design, and I have my own reasons why. I don't express them or share them. It's a service thing. It deals with the service side of the business, and it's like I don't. There are positives and negatives about every brand, and positive negatives about every manufacturer. No one's perfect. I haven't met anyone that's perfect. So no, I really appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. Okay, next one. What is the lowest credit score you have seen to get approved on a very high dollar fifth wheel? I'm looking into possibly buying a $200,000 fifth wheel. I have half of the money to put down, but according to your videos, I'm limited by my credit score how much I can get a loan for. 100 grand, probably 640. Jason, 640 score. It's probably the lowest I've seen get a $100,000 loan. Generally, when you're under 640, a lot of times you end up getting 75 grand. I've seen 80. I haven't seen a whole lot under 640 that gets over a $75,000 loan. And there's a lot of factors involved. If you go to my playlist section of my channel, I actually have a video I did that kind of gives you an idea of what you need to qualify for a $75,000 loan if your credit score isn't up to like par. The minimum FICO score to get an RV loan now is 575. Generally it was 550, now they've raised it up to 575. I've gotten a lot of, you didn't give me what your score roughly was, but I've gotten a lot of 575 scores, 45 and 50 grand loans in my career. As long as you got a paycheck stub, as long as you're a W-2 employee, as long as your debt to income ratio matches out, you got an incredible shot at a $45,000 or $50,000 loan. When you're self-employed is when things become very complicated. We're actually working a deal with a guy that wants a toy hauler. He's putting good money down. I think 20 grand or 25 grand on this toy hauler. His credit score is not quite there. His tax returns are very complicated. His chances of getting a loan are not that great. Because when you're self-employed, when you own your own business, there's three goals behind it. Obviously, number one, you want to make money for yourself. Number two, you want to make sure you don't pay Uncle Sam very much money. You want to keep more of it than pay the government. And number three, obviously, is there's more potential to make more money if you're self-employed than if you're employed by, let's say, a Fortune 500 company or a big corporation. So that's all well and good, but a bank or a lender wants to see what your taxable income is. That's what they base your actual real income on. So I've seen guys who have their top line of their 1040 be $1 million, $2 million a year, but they show the government that they only make 24 grand. You know, that's their taxable income. So the bank doesn't look at the million or two, they look at what it is after all the write-offs. So that's a hard thing to judge without seeing your credit. Best thing I could recommend to anybody trying to get a jumbo loan, 100 grand or more, is see what's wrong with your credit. A lot of times you can order, a lot of folks that buy $200,000 fifth wheels, like mobile suites. Mobile suites is 200 grand. There's a lot of ones out there that are like $250. A lot of times a dealership only carries one model in stock when they have that, because a lot of people order them. So what I would do is, if you're gonna buy, let's say, a Tiffin Allegro Red diesel pusher, that's $600,000, and you're gonna take a loan on it, a lot of times most people are gonna order that unit. They're gonna order it their own color, their own paint, so on and so forth. So take a look at your credit report and see what you can improve on. Maybe you just have too much credit card debt. Maybe you have some collections you should pay off. Maybe there's some things you could clean up before you make that order. So just keep that in mind when we're thinking about getting a jumbo loan or taking out a very nice high dollar RV. Okay. I think I got two more, and then I'm going to open things up here. Where is it? There it is. I bought a Pioneer travel trailer from Camping World back in 2021. It's too small, and I'm looking to upgrade. Back when I bought it, I put no money out of pocket because my credit is excellent. I just watched a video of yours. I think you're full of it when you say that trade-in values haven't changed. I am told that I'm over $15,000 tipped on my trade, and there's no way I will lose that kind of money to upgrade. How can I get the full amount I owe on my trailer so I don't lose any money? And if you tell me that I shouldn't have bought it, then please don't read this out loud. Okay. What I said in that video was that the difference figure hasn't changed in almost 4 years. So the difference between what dealers are selling units for now and what your value of your trade-in hasn't changed. Okay, so most of the United States of America, not all, but the majority, you pay sales tax based on, if you can't pay cash, don't buy it. I completely disagree. I'll tell you why I disagree in a little bit, okay? I 200% disagree with that philosophy, and I'll get into that in just a minute. Okay. The difference figure between what your trade is worth and what you're paying for the rigs today is the same as it was in 2021. Okay. What the value may have changed, but the difference figure hasn't. And most of your states, most of the USA pays sales tax on the difference. They don't pay sales tax on the purchase price. There are exceptions to that, New York, California, etc. But like states like Nevada, Arizona, for example, you pay on the difference. If you understand that, and you have that understanding that the difference figure hasn't changed, then it's easier for a dealership or yourself, if you're gonna buy a private party, it's easier for you to navigate how to structure the buyer's order for the bank. Okay. No, there's another reason why I disagree. I will tell you why I disagree. Just give me a few minutes, okay? Let me finish this question. And I'll get into why I disagree about it. Okay. By the way, that's a philosophy I used to have. Even when I first started in this business, I used to tell people that all the time, and I'll explain in a minute, okay? It's like, for example, okay, one guy who owns, let's use a guy who owns his trade free and clear, okay? We had a guy like that. If you go back to 2021, we were probably paying 25 grand for his trade, but he was paying 75 grand for the new unit, okay? Now, his trade's worth 15, but we're selling the unit for 60. So the difference figure hasn't changed, right? It's just a concept of up here. This is why why we're so confused about money is not what our values are, but what the difference is. It's like when I walk into a car dealership, I want to know what the difference figure is between my trade and the new car, and it throws dealers off a lot of times. Yeah. Okay, let's get into your question, PP. Okay, first off, when I first got in this business, God, 13, 14 years ago, there used to be something in place by banks where banks weren't lending unless you could afford it in cash, okay? So a lot of times, like in 09, 2010, when I first got into this thing, if you didn't have the cash in the bank, they didn't give you the loan. If you didn't have the assets, they didn't give you the loan. Now that was just because of strict tightening and things that went over. You could watch The Big Short if you want to know more about that, or movies like that, like Margin Call. That'll explain, Great Recession and why banking had tightened up like that. I carried that philosophy with people through 2012 and 13 when people didn't want to put any money down. There was a lot, and banks, even back in 2011, 12, and 13, were not doing zero down loans. Zero down loans didn't start making a comeback till like 2016, 2017. So I used to tell people, look, if you can't afford it in cash, don't buy it. If you can't afford to put 30% down on a deal, then you don't need to buy an RV. I used to tell people that when I was a salesperson. People walk away and go buy somewhere else, okay? If you have the cash to buy an RV, it's not smart to use it all to buy the RV. First off, you're tying up, let me give you the best philosophy why. You're tying up cash into a depreciating asset. So even if you have the cash, you should put a good chunk down and finance the rest. Put the rest in the bank, because you don't want to tie up all of your funds in a depreciating asset. I tell especially retired people this. Yes, you're retired. Yes, you're on a fixed income. Yes, you don't want to make a payment. I get it. You've been making payments your whole life. But let's say you have $100,000 and you want to spend it on an RV. That's what you budgeted. Heaven forbid something happens. My grandmother, for example, I talked my grandfather into financing his road trek a long time ago. He wanted to pay cash. He's glad he didn't. My grandmother ended up having a heart attack in the middle of Vermont, and it ended up more than a heart attack. She ended up having to get helicoptered out. There was a lot of expenses that medical insurance doesn't fully cover. And a lot of times hospitals, or if don't have the ability to pay your bill, they don't treat you as well as they do if you do have the ability to pay your bill. So there are emergency cases where you may need the cash, especially if you plan on traveling across the country for months at a time. So to tie up all of your money, even if you have the cash to buy it, to tie up all of your money into a depreciating asset doesn't bode well if there is an emergency. That's my number one reason why I tell people they'll regret paying cash for an RV. It has nothing to do with anything else but the fact that you need to have a fund because you don't know what may happen, okay? It could be as simple as you break your leg. It could be as simple as tomorrow Social Security gets wiped out. It could be as simple as, you know what, you thought that 20 grand would get you through the year to go travel across the US, and it really is going to cost you 40 because you didn't take into account that oil prices were going to go up. You didn't take into account that Hamas was going to attack Israel, okay? So there's a lot of philosophical reasons why I tell people stuff the cash in the bank. You know you have the ability. You now know you have the cash. Doesn't matter what interest rates are. Interest rates are going to be what they are. I've had a lot of folks tell me over the years, well, I'm going to wait for rates to go down. Okay, so rates go down, prices go up. Rates go up, prices go down. There's no perfect timing for it. That's the number one reason why I always say, like, even if you have the ability to pay cash, you shouldn't pay cash. Now let's go back a little bit further. It's just like with houses right now. The second philosophy is you don't pay cash for a home. Nobody pays cashes for a home because a lot of times no one has the cash. We run on a debt society, period, end of report. Everything is debt. Even the dollar. I don't even have a dollar on me. Even the dollar you carry in your bank account is debt. By the way, if the US dollar collapses tomorrow, you don't have any money anyway. So even if you don't have the cash, if you have good credit and you can afford the monthly payment, you got a steady job, you should buy an RV. It builds memories. We have an expiration date on our bodies. It isn't like we get to live forever. So if you have the ability to buy it on credit and you have the ability to make the payment and still use it, that's the difference. Still be able to use it, not sit in a storage lot because you can't afford to use it. If you can afford $300 a month and you got an extra $100, $200 you can spend a month to go out camping, perfect. If you can only afford $100 and you got $20 to go out, maybe you shouldn't buy it. So I don't think it has anything to do with the ability that you have cash. I think it has to the ability, you shouldn't buy it if you don't have the spare cash monthly to use it, okay? So that's where, there's other like technical reasons, you can make more money if it's in the bank, interest rates are higher at the bank, you could put in an investment account. Yeah, all that stuff is well and good. But those are the two basic philosophies that I talk to people about, whether they have the ability to pay cash or whether they don't. And the final real reason is why, heaven forbid, something really happens to you. Now you have all this money tied up into an RV. RVs for private party sellers are not the easiest thing to do. It's not easy for a dealership. I get a lot of consignments here, and we probably get between 20 and 30 people a month that walk in off an ad on a used piece that are just out looking. It's cheaper than going to Disneyland. It's maybe something they're going to do 5 or 6 years from now when they retire. I mean, there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of people that are just looky-loos, kicking tires. So the percentage of real buyers, and this has been this way since I got into this business, this is nothing new. The percentage of people that have the ability, so we always say something in this business, you have to be ready, willing, and able. A lot of people are willing, but not able. A lot of people are ready, but not willing. So you have to have a combination of all three. And that's a small percentage of people that walk through the door on a monthly basis. So now you got all this cash tied up into an RV that may or may not sell on the open market for what you think the value is. While if something really bad happens to you and you're 80 years old, give it back to the bank. You got a bunch of cash in reserves to get you through. I mean, that's where like the thought process has to be outside of the bank, outside of the box sometimes. You know, cash is not king when you're buying vehicles. Cash down is king. So hopefully that makes sense to you, man, because and I feel the same way about cars, boats, homes. Heck, man, I put all my equipment I used to film, all my editing software that I made over the years or bought over the years, it all went on a credit card. I didn't pay cash for it. I make monthly payments to my credit card. You know, I chopped it out, okay, so I can afford, you know, I know the minimum payment's $25, but I'm gonna set up auto pay at 75, so I pay it off quicker and less interest. So hopefully that is something that helps you out. Okay. Where was the last one? There's one more in here. Travel trailer regret. Okay, here we go. I am soon going to be buying my first travel trailer, and I'm having a lot of difficulty deciding on the length. I am over 6'4", so things are a little smaller for me than they are for most people, especially in campers. What advice would you give me? Because I don't fit in most of the showers or the beds in the sizes I like. I like something small that I can tow behind my Toyota Tacoma, and I want to be able to put it in my driveway. What do you suggest? I gotta think about that one for a minute. Best advice I can think of off the top of my head, you're 6'4", you want something that fits in your driveway. Motorhome. That's probably, Class C motorhome is probably your best bet, or small Class A motorhome. They make a small Class A called the Access or the Vegas by Thor. Now, while most people bash that thing, it's really a Class C. It sits up like a Class A. So since you're taller, you won't feel like your head's hitting up against the cab like you would in a Class C. But they're still small enough they fit in most people's driveways. They're still like 24, 25 feet. It's probably your best bet. Because they're taller, they're not super tall, but because the interior height is taller, the showers will feel taller. Now, it doesn't matter what shower you get in, you're gonna be looking over, you're gonna be looking over the top of the actual shower, because they only make them really one size as far as height, but there's usually a skylight, and most of the time your shower is, the top of your shower is not gonna be all the way to the ceiling in that type of motorhome. So while they don't make an actual shower that fits you, at least you can take the nozzle off and do your thing, and you're not gonna feel like a turtle. I cannot think of any travel trailer that will fit in a driveway that would fit you as a 6'4" man in the bathroom. The bed, there's not much I can tell you to do outside of just pull the mattress out and put some memory foam in the back to give you the length. I mean, because even a king size bed in something that small is not going to be a real king. It's going to be a RV king. That's tough, brother. I mean, that's a tough one. Best advice I could give you is motorhome. I know you want a trailer. You probably have your Tacoma probably paid off like a lot of people do. But yeah, I'd say you were like a small Class A, like an Access or a Vegas. That'd probably be the best bet. So, man, that's gonna make me think for a while, because even if you told me that in person, I'd probably stare at you like, I'd probably see your height and go, yeah, you're not gonna fit in anything I got that's gonna fit in your driveway. You're too tall. Oh no, I get that, but he says he wants to fit in his driveway. Most driveways are 24, 25 feet at the most. Most people's are 19, 20. I mean, that's tough. I mean, 262 RL is gonna be 30 feet if you take a tape measure to it most of the time. I mean, there's Flagstaff travel trailers that will fit a 6'9" guy or 6'4", 6'5" guy in a shower. There's Grand Design products out there do the same thing. There's a lot of, mostly everybody makes, when you get beyond a 22-foot box, when you start getting into a 26, 27, 28-foot box, everybody can fit in the shower. You are very lucky, man. Most people I know, maybe 24, 25 foot at the most. Most people. It's almost time for breakfast. I think I'm gonna go to Jack in the Box here in a minute. Huh? Oh, I thought someone was talking to me. Well, to end this, I'm going to speak a little bit about some of the things I've discovered this week that I'm not going to make a video on because I just don't have the time. I'm running into a situation where I'm kind of running out of time every day. Just so much going on. I mean, the closer we get to the holidays, the busier I'm getting. There is an announcement that is coming from some of the bigger conglomerates. And what I mean by that is like the Lazy Days, the General RVs, the Camping Worlds of our industry. I can't tell you specifically who right now because I'll get in trouble. But there's going to be an announcement of store closures in mass quantities by a couple of conglomerates in markets that it never made sense for them to be in the first place. You know, when you pull levers, you got to realize what levers you pull after that, or what levers get pulled down the road after that. And I believe with a lot of these guys buying up everything in sight during COVID, I believe even like real estate guys, that all the Vanguards and BlackRocks are realizing how idiotic it was to buy up all this stuff. So don't be scared about it. It's gonna sound world ending, but it's not. A lot of the markets that they bought into are very small markets that do not bring the revenue for a big corporation. They're more of a mom and pop style community, and mom and pop decided that's a lot of money. How can we walk away from that money? So they took the money and sold it. And in that case, when the conglomerate walked in and did what they did, spent all the money they needed to spend to change the name and change the logos and put people in place and put their strategies in place, they found out, wait a minute, we're not growing. It's still staying the same size it was when mom and pop owned it. When mom and pop owned it, they had 5 employees, maybe 6. The big conglomerate puts 30, 35 people to work in that same scenario. So they're pulling out. They're going to see a lot of store closures in markets. It's already kind of started. And then you're going to see a lot of announcements of big corporations pulling out of buying dealerships. That's already kind of begun, but hasn't made the news yet. It'll get there. So it's nothing to worry about. It's just kind of a fact of life right now that, I mean, if I were an owner in the middle of a town of 60,000 people and I sold 100 RVs a year, maybe 150, and somebody offered me 15 times what my dealership's worth, I'd have done the same bloody thing they did. So just to kind of give you an idea. We're going to do the same thing next week, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, before college football really gets started. Remember to email me your questions, levingstonrvservices@gmail.com. And as I said, I answer them live, and now I'm going to answer all of them personally. Have a good one.